Well, hello and welcome to Monday. Glad to be with you. Let's see if we can lighten this up a little bit. And thank you so much for joining me today for a Power Up time together. And also had a great time in church yesterday. So thank you so much for being a part of the services yesterday. I look forward to a great week this week. I also want to thank you so much for your prayers over at the end of last week as we traveled down to Kentucky and met the in-laws there, went to the Ark Encounter. That was just simply amazing and thoroughly enjoyed our time there. And also, we got there, we went to the Ark Friday. We were greeted by some rain, and so we hustled into the Ark and got in, and thankfully the rain stopped though. But we had just a wonderful time. Thank you so much for your prayers, and looking forward to spending some time with the in-laws, or much time with the in-laws over the next week or so, week and a half or so. Wanted to draw your attention to Psalm 26 today as we'll look into the next verse here in Psalm 26. As we said last week, this has been just a phenomenal psalm to walk our way through. There's so many nuggets of truth, and I've enjoyed picking apart each one and looking at them. But they also are very convicting as well. And so I hope the Lord's going to work in your heart as we've looked through this. In Psalm 26, look with me at verse number 1, and we'll read down to verse number 5. We're going to focus on verse 5 today, but let's just kind of get a little bit of context here. Verse number 1, Judge me, O Lord, for I have walked in mine integrity. I have trusted also in the Lord. Therefore, I shall not slide. Examine me, O Lord, and prove me. Try my reins and my heart. For thy loving kindness is before mine eyes, and I have walked in thy truth. I have not sat with vain persons, neither will I go in the dissemblers. And then verse number 5, this is where we'll focus on today. I have hated the congregation of evildoers, and I will not sit with wicked men. This is pretty straightforward here. I have hated the congregation of evildoers, and I will not sit with wicked men. Have you ever heard the term guilty by association? And I've heard the term, and I've had the term applied to me. People have said that to me, that you're guilty by association, and it's not always in bad things. Sometimes it's in good things that we are guilty by association. And so it's not always bad. Sometimes it is good. But so we've got to be careful about our association. David says, I've hated the congregation of evildoers and will not sit with the wicked. The thought that jumped into my mind when I read this is simply this, and a very simple thought. In the New Testament we read, and I believe it's in 1 Thessalonians, where we read that we are to abstain from the appearance of evil. Abstain from even the appearance of evil. And so I just want to leave you with this thought today. Just let's think about it. And this is popularized in the 90s. What would Jesus do? And so I want to encourage you to think about that thought in all that we do today. Hey, what would Jesus do? I'm abstaining from the appearance of evil. And the reason why is this. Is because who as Christians do we represent? You answer it. We represent Jesus. And we are to be a testimony of Jesus to a world that so desperately need it. And so who we hang out with, associate with, remember, we're to avoid the appearance of evil so that we can be a testimony of Christ's likeness to others. Just another thought or branch with that. In our lives, and I'm thankful for the Word of God, and in the Word of God we find how to live a successful Christian life. There are some things and people have different opinions about standards and codes of conduct and how we live our life. Here's something that that I try to do within reason, and there are some who might take it further than I do. But I want you to think about it. Are the places that I go, the things that I do, the people I'm with, stuff maybe that I watch, listen to, all that kind of stuff, and there's a huge gamut of it. Is what we say, do, watch, listen to, all that, who we're with, those kind of things, can it be a stumbling block to others? And that's kind of how I try to live. I don't want to be a stumbling block to others. And I know you can take this extreme, so you got to be careful about that. Extreme both ways. But sometimes the thought about the stumbling block is this: well, that's their problem, it's not mine. True, it is their problem. It's something that others have to deal with. But I don't want to be the cause. I don't want to be the stumbling block. And so as David writes here, I've hated the congregation of evildoers. I will not sit with the wicked. David's not saying, hey, I'm wicked. Hey, I'm evildoers. No, he doesn't want to be guilty by association. And so he wants to abstain from even the appearance of evil. And so, hey, let's have that same desire, abstain from the appearance of evil, and then let's look at our life and let's strive not to be a stumbling block to others. Think about it maybe this way as well. Are some of the things in our life that may be a stumbling block to some, are some of those things more important to us than seeing others grow in their walk with Jesus Christ? That's something to think about. And so I think we need to, as Christians, we need to step up our walk a little bit. And instead of dropping our standards, which I think slowly happens over time, we need to raise our standards and raise our standards high. You look to what our standard is. Our standard is Jesus Christ. Now, we know we can't measure up to his standard, or measure up to God's standard. That's why we need Jesus to be clothed in his righteousness. But that does not give us an occasion or a reason to sin and to not have high standards. Don't get me wrong now. A lot of people would use this conversation we're having here to say, oh, he's legalistic. And legalism and being legalistic in your relationship with Jesus Christ speaks to having to work for your salvation. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this. Here's the picture. I'm married, and I wear a ring. My wife wears a ring. You know, there are things that I don't do. There are places that I don't go. There are people I don't hang out with because I'm married. Oh, man, that's horrible. No, nobody would say that. You say, well, that's pretty smart if he wants his marriage to last, if he wants to have a right relationship with his wife. And you'd be right. That is very smart. More important than my relationship with my wife or any earthly relationship that we can have is our relationship with Jesus Christ. And so, hey, let's raise the standards high. Man, I'm not going to go there because of my Jesus. I'm not going to hang out with them because of my Jesus. I'm not going to watch that because of my Jesus. I'm not going to listen to that because of my Jesus. I'm not going to say that because of my Jesus. I'm not going to have that attitude because of my Jesus. So I hope you see kind of the thought for the day, and not to beat us down. Okay, I don't want to do that. But to encourage us to, man, no matter what everybody else is doing, man, I am going to raise the standard high. I am going to try to my best to be Christ-like, and so that everybody can see it. David here says, you know what? I've hated the congregation of the evildoers. I will not sit with the wicked. David says, hey, I want to avoid the appearance of evil. And that should be our desire as well as Christians. Thanks for being with me today. Maybe a little bit longer and just kind of a little bit more of a chat. Don't take it as me beating down on you. It's encouraging. So, hey, let's continue to live for the Lord in a great way. Thanks for being with me. Look forward to our time together. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.